So welcome back. I'll share the screen again. So when I find that my learner is trying to correct himself, please let him correct himself without trying to correct him. Okay, so when you can see my the learner say, I were happy yesterday. No, he is trying to correct himself. Just leave him to correct himself. So it's not a good idea to correct the learners while they are trying to correct themselves. Don't be in a hurry and give them the chance to correct themselves. Okay, but still we have certain situation I have to correct, or I focus my correction on them. Number one, the grammar I am working on. For example, today I am working on the past simple, used to, present continuous, possessive pronoun, or whatever the structure of the grammar that I want to focus on. So try to focus on only this structure, okay? So for example, if I'm teaching past simple, so don't make other mistakes. Just focus on the past simple, okay? Number two, when the mistakes something of misunderstanding. So I feel that my students got confused when a student is speaking. So at this point, you can correct the student or the learner because there is something wrong happened and the students got confused. So help them by correcting the mistake. Okay. Number three, if the learners themselves ask for help. So they said, Miss, please, what can I say here? Or is it right or wrong? So you can correct them if they want, if they want for correction. So again, if you want to correct your students, be careful. Just focus on the structure you are working on. This is a point. Number two, when you feel that there is something wrong happened, the students got confused because the mistake creates misunderstanding. And when you find that your learners ask for help, so it's okay to correct it. Okay, this is when I correct the oral mistakes. This is for speech correction. Let's move to another point, which is the techniques, how to correct my students. Again, we have a title, which is the students who are making mistakes. We know the difference between errors and mistakes, and we know some situations when it's not a good idea to correct. In this situation, it's okay to correct the oral or the speech correction. Okay? So if you can share some techniques to correct the mistakes. So imagine now we are speaking and the students make a mistake. So can you tell me how can you correct? Can you share any technique to correction?
The voice is not clear.
Again,
There is a noise.
okay. I don't have noise here, by the way.
I know.
It's not noise, the صوت بيقطع.
Okay, so again, I'm talking about techniques of error correction. How can I correct my students' mistakes while speaking in a way that they don't feel embarrassed or in a way without letting them down or frustrated?
We can retell the same sentence in the correct way without emphasizing on the problem or the mistake without underlining this is a mistake.
Yeah, perfect. That's right. Perfect. So let's do that in practice, Teresa. When I say, for example,
First of all,
Please, Mrs. Hannah.
I ask the student to correct himself. I ask
Yes.
him, do you think that this is the right way to say that?
yeah,
Or it's is that do you think that this is the right pronunciation? And then give a chance for his peers. Ask
yeah,
the whole class if he didn't find the mistake in his pronunciation or his rules. Ask the students, and at last I correct the error.
yes. So I delay my correction. I give him a chance to correct himself.
Hello?
After that, peer correction. Thank you, Asma. And Teresa talked about a very important point, which is repeating what the students say, but with a correct way. For example, let's do that in practice. When I say yesterday, I go to school.
Mrs. Hannah.
So Teresa, how
Yes,
can you correct that?
yesterday I went to school.
Yes, that's
Okay.
right. So
You
she
can
repeated.
continue.
Yes. So she repeated what the learners said, but in a correct way. And we will talk that, by the way, in details. Yes. Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Asma. Yes, Amina, I think you want to add something.
For example, if a student say it's a photo, sorry, it's a photo, I can say, for example, Muhammad said it's a photo, and let the students repeat it.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
you
I
could,
can repeat the sentence he said correctly,
yeah,
and say that he said, for example, he said what?
yeah. So you say you correct the mistake and you ask your students to repeat the correct sentence. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Who else? Okay.
I
Miss
can
Ilham? Miss
I can
Ilham?
let some students, if a student said a mistake, a sentence mistake, or a mistake in a sentence, I can let some students to say the same sentence and choose the correct. Then
Yes.
let the student repeat it.
Yeah, so the students choose the correct one.
Yeah, let's correct themselves.
Yes, so they correct themselves. Yes, self-correction is great, in fact, and peer correction, as you said, you and Asma, yes, and repeating the structure with a correct form, as Teresa said. Okay, do anyone want to add anything else? Okay, so here I have some suggestions to correct mistakes. I mean the oral mistakes while speaking. Number one, recasting, and this is something that, like you said, Teresa, clarifying and negotiating. Number one, recasting. Recasting, as you said, Teresa, to repeat what the learners said, but correctly. As the same example, when I say, as a learner, yesterday I go to school. So the teacher will say, yesterday I went to school, or yesterday you went to school, okay? So here, I just repeat the sentence, but correctly, okay? So this is recasting. This is what you said, Teresa, exactly what you said, okay? So recasting, to repeat what the learner said with the correct form. And here the learners have a chance to, yes, I said go, not went. So he noticed, the learners notice the mistake, okay? And it's a good idea to do that during whole class discussion, or when you have one-on-one conversation, a conversation between two students, a conversation between me and another student, one-on-one, okay? students, two persons, okay, or a teacher and a student. So it's a good idea to do this technique when you have whole class discussion. For example,
Mrs.
today we
Hannah,
talked about
please can you repeat?
قول لها حفظيني القرآن جدع.
لا أنا بحفظ معاه، أحفظ معاه بس ما ماشي.
طب احفظ مع بس.
يا جماعة اللي عنده عيل يقفل المايك.
Okay, you can mute yourself if you have noise. Okay?
Mrs. هناء
Yes.
معلش أنا مش عارفة
هنا.
إيه السبب بس بلاقي نفسي طلعت ودخلت تاني.
You are with us now.
طيب ما تعمل أكلة.
I think because of the internet. You are with us now.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you repeat
Yeah, sure.
the last thing?
Yes. So this is the first technique to correct the oral speaking or the oral mistakes, which is recasting. This is exactly what Teresa mentioned to say what the learner
أنت فاهم هي بتقول إيه؟
what the learner said, but with the correct form. To
ممكن
repeat
درس
it
إنجليزي
correctly.
كيف تفهموها؟
So sorry, Miss Ilham, I muted you. Okay, so it's a good way to let your students notice that there is a mistake in my speaking. But try to do that and move on. Don't stop and tell him you have a mistake here. Pay attention. It's supposed to say went instead of go. No, just say the sentence and keep talking. Don't stop. And don't interrupt the discussion. Don't interrupt the conversation, because here we look after what? Fluency. Okay, so get your students keep speaking. Just repeat the sentence with the correct form and move on. Continue. Don't stop and let him know there is a mistake. He will notice that, or she will notice that. So without stopping, without interrupting the conversation or the discussion, just repeat the correct form and go on. So don't stop. Okay?
Yeah.
A good idea to do this technique when you have a conversation, one-on-one conversation between a student and a student, or between you and the student, and when you have a whole discussion, for example, about colors, about weather, okay, about shopping. So just keep speaking and repeat the sentences with the correct form and go on, move on, okay, without yes, without interrupting the learners, and say please stop, pay attention, you have a mistake here. No, because here we wanted them to speak fluently. Okay, this is the first technique. Okay, let's have another one, which is clarifying. Clarifying means the teacher asks students questions. Sorry?
Make it clear.
Yeah, clarify to make it clear, yes. How can I make it clear? By asking the students a question, okay? And here we have the first kind of question, which is WH question, okay? Genuine question, real question. For example, when I say, yesterday I go to school, you can say, what? That's it, okay? So we'll say, yesterday I went to school. So here again, the learners noted that there is a mistake. And when you say, yesterday I'll go to school, you can see when. The learners will say, tomorrow I'll go to school, for example. So here, try to ask a question using WH words to let your learners notice that there is a mistake, okay? When we talked about the means of transportation and ask him, how do you go to school? One said, I go to school by plane. So what's the question here? Again, ask.
I go to school by plane.
Yeah, maybe yes, that's right. Or if I want to ask a question, as you said, Teresa, by plane, so the learner will say, I go to school by bus. He will correct himself.
Okay.
If I want to ask WH question, You will say how. So we'll say,
Okay,
yeah.
or where are you from?
Teresa again.
Where are you from?
Yeah, that's yes, that's right.
From
Yes.
Australia, حضرتك?
Yeah, that's right. He will notice that there is a mistake and he will say the right sentence. Yes, this is number one. Number two, you ask as if you can't hear or couldn't hear what he said. For example, when I say, I go to school by plane, you will say, sorry, pardon me, as if you didn't hear him or her. So here you can ask him or her to repeat what they said, okay? So another way of clarifying questions. So number one, you can ask a question using WH word or ask your learner to repeat what you said, okay? To say, sorry, pardon me, and here the learner will repeat what he said or what she said, but in a correct way. So again, they correct themselves. Okay, here I don't correct them. Okay, but again, don't use generally these techniques while the presentation, the oral presentation in the classroom. Why? Because I'm sure that my students is very happy because he is confident to stand in front of his friends and colleagues and speak about his project, for example, about his poster, about drawing or whatever. So once, yes.
And not to give a red alarm to others, you will be interrupted. So it's okay not to speak better.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So here it's okay just to keep speaking and don't worry about making a mistake. Okay. So here it's not a good idea to correct my students in the formal presentation. When you invite your student to come in the front of the classroom and speak, please keep them speaking and encourage them to speak. How? By not correcting them. Okay. This is the first point. Or while learners are talking to each other. So you give them a task or an activity and they prepare together what they are going to say. While mentoring the groups and you heard a mistake, it's not a good idea to correct them. Okay? So it's not a good idea to correct them directly. So you can ask a question, you can ask for clarification, you can recast, okay? But don't correct them directly because they will let them down, okay? So it's not a good idea to correct your students, even using the direct way. It's not a good idea to use the direct way while the formal presentation, because I think it's really embarrassing. Because I can feel that my students in primary one, while standing in front of the classroom, they are very happy. Some of them are very happy because they speak in front of the students, and the other are, yeah, they don't have the courage. They don't have the courage to speak. So give them a chance or an opportunity to speak in a comfortable way. So don't correct them, okay? This is for the second strategy or the second technique. Okay, let's move to the third one, which is negotiating meaning. Okay, so here the teacher and the learner discuss meaning to clarify. Here the teacher doesn't only recast what or repeat what the student say in a correct form, or ask just one question to help the students notice the mistake, but here they are speaking together to clarify meaning, like eliciting. I'm asking the learner some question to elicit the correct form, okay? For example, when I say, yesterday I goes to school. Yesterday I goes to school. You can ask your students, you went to school or something or someone else? You will say, I did. So say it again. I went to school yesterday. So you can ask him many questions. At the end, you will elicit the correct form. Okay? So negotiation here, it's not only WH question or just repeat the correct form. No, you can ask him or her more than one question to elicit the correct form. And again, here the students correct themselves. What's my role here? Asking them some questions to elicit the correct form, because they already know the rules, so they can correct themselves. Okay? So these are the 3 steps or 3 strategies to give my students a chance to correct themselves: recasting, clarifying questions, or negotiating meaning. Okay, so these are the 3 strategies. Both of them, or all of them, it's not a good idea to correct the students while formal presentation or while they are working on a task. They are speaking together. So it's not a good idea to correct them. Try to correct them while you have whole class discussion by recasting, repeating what they have said, or when you have one-on-one conversation. Okay, so you can recast, or you can ask clarifying questions. In all of them, you give them a chance to correct themselves. So you want to embarrass them. But if they ask for help, you can correct them. Okay? Well, this is for the students who are afraid of speaking. So let them feel comfortable while speaking. That's not okay. Make mistakes. It's not okay. Because here we look after, as I said, fluency. And fluency is a skill of speaking, sub-skill of speaking skill. Okay? Okay.
Yes.
So this is the first challenge. Let's move to another challenge. Learners are unwilling or unmotivated to speak English. And this is what you said, Teresa. My learners insist on speaking Arabic. Okay? And I encourage them all of the time to speak English, but they can't. Yeah, they are not willing to speak English. Here I have just a suggestion to have classroom questions on the board or next to the board. And when my student asks me a question in Arabic, just to point to the poster and ask my student to say it in English. For example, في كل فصولنا بنشوف بيج كام، أو يا مس اكتبها ازاي، أو يا مس دي معناها ايه، أو يا مس هنعمل ايه. So you can write down these questions on a poster next to the board, and once your students speak Arabic, just point to them and insist on speaking English. If you want me to answer you, say it in English. Okay? So here, get your learners talking using a poster of classroom language and classroom questions. You provide them.
I'm telling them.
Yes, Teresa.
I'm telling them I can't understand you.
Again?
I'm telling them I am teaching you English. I can't understand Arabic. Meanwhile,
Yes. Yeah. So yes, you speak English, so I can't understand you. Yeah.
And I act just like I'm really not understanding.
ما ده بتاع
Okay.
الانجليزي بتاعك عشان
Yes,
تحل
thank you,
المشكلة.
Teresa. Yeah. So it's all about me. I think at this point, it's all about me. When I insist on using English in the classroom, my students will encourage to speak English. Okay? And you can motivate them in your way.
Especially the sentence, they are in need. Just like, may I go to the bathroom? May I speak? May I drink? If you insist on not understanding them in Arabic, they will have in English.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with you, because it's very important to get my students used to use the English language in the classroom. So يمكن نتعب في الأول.
Yes.
يمكن نتعب أيوة في الأول إن إحنا هنفضل مصرين إن هم يستخدموا إنجليش، بس once إن هم اتعودوا they got used to use English, it's okay. Okay, it will take time. I'm sure of that. It will take time. May I go to the bathroom? It will take time to say it. May I drink? It will take time to say it. And the same thing with the classroom questions. So first of all, or at the beginning, they want to say it correctly. They will step by step, and when they repeat it day by day, they will get it right. Okay, so you can put a sample. I have a sample here of the classroom language or the questions. Like, I don't understand. Can you repeat that? What page is it? I have a question. I need help, please. What does that mean? How do you say, for example, kitab? How do you say kursi in English? How do you say this word in English? How do you say shanta in English? So once you insist on speaking English, I think they will respond about your way. I think they will do that. It will take time. I'm sure it will take time. Okay. But let's do that at the beginning of the year or the term. Okay. So maybe on the first day of at school. So let's do a poster. And once your students say that in English, you will point to this question and invite them to say it in English. Maybe invite another learner to say it, and after that, that learner say it again. Okay, who can say this question in English? I'll say it. What page is it? So now ask it again in English. And I think day by day they will get used to use the questions in English. Okay. Okay, this is for the students who are not willing to speak English. A way to encourage or motivate them to speak English, to have the frequently asking questions next to the board. And when one of them say that question in Arabic, just point to the question and ask them to say that in English. And as I said, it will take time. I'm sure it will take time. But after that, they got used to say that in English. Okay? Okay. Let's move to another challenge, which is the shy learners. Some of them, in fact, they are clever and they good at English, but they don't have the courage or the confidence to stand up and speak in front of their friends or colleagues in the classroom. How can I deal with these students and encourage them to speak, to give them the confidence to speak? Here I have some suggestions. Number one, build
Put them in groups.
Working in groups.
Yeah, sure. Yes, that's right. So working groups or in pair work, collaborative learning is a good idea. It works, yes. And here we have build a rapport. A rapport means a good relationship between you and the shy students. You can ask them about what they like. For example, reading, playing football, drawing, listening to music, or whatever. So try to know something about their hobbies and motivate them to speak about what they have already interested in. For example, my learner is interested in playing football. Why not invite them to speak about playing football, or give them a task about playing football, drawing, okay? Use collaborative learning.
Yes.
As I said, Amina, use group work and pair work. So invite them to join their friends or their colleagues and work in a team or a group, okay? And make sure that they have a role in the group work, not only to join, but to speak and work, participate, I mean. Provide confidence by giving them easy tasks. Okay, so once they do the easy task or the controlled task, just give them some questions and invite the learner to go and ask this question to his friends in the group. Okay, so begin step by step with them with easy task, and here they will come more confident. Another one, provide nonverbal options to initiate a discussion. Okay, so don't begin at once with the shy learners by inviting them to speak. Just ask them, if you like this, raise your hand or thumbs up. If you don't like them, thumbs down. Okay, so in the very beginning, try to give them this option. Don't use language at once. Okay, so try to communicate, interact with them in a non-verbal way. After that, invite them to speak. Okay, it looks like a warm-up. Okay, so in the very beginning, they don't want to speak, they are shy, so it's not necessary to speak now. So just give me a sign. Okay, stand up. If you like it, stand up. If you don't like it, keep sitting, or go to right, go to left. Okay, or clap your hands and stamp your feet. Okay, so once you speak about a topic and you want to engage your shy learners, you can start with a non-verbal option. And I used to use non-verbal options like clap your hand and stamp your feet. They got engaged after that and began to speak. Okay, this is for shy learners. Okay, any questions so far? You have any questions?
No, thank you, Mrs. Hani.
Clear, no problem.
Another one, the students who are, they are not shy, they want to speak English, and they are not afraid of making mistakes, in fact, but they need some help of the teacher, of course, and they don't know where to start. How can I improve myself while speaking English? Here I have some suggestions. Let's have a look. Learners don't know where to start. So some of them want to speak English, but in fact, they don't know what to do. Here we have some suggestions. Number one, control the practice. Give them some questions to ask to their colleagues or to their teachers. Why not? Okay. So here, control the activity. I already give them the questions and they just go to other colleagues in the classroom to ask them, okay? Number two, to record. If you feel that your students are motivated enough to speak, so you will speak about your school, for example, your classroom, your family, your brother, your friend, your favorite color or favorite food, okay? So speak about this or talk about this topic and record yourself on mobile phone or something like that and send it on WhatsApp group, and I'll give you feedback after that. It's a way to motivate them to speak, not only in the classroom, outside the classroom, okay? Number three, every Sunday. Let's start the week with a question that motivates those learners. For example, what did you do last weekend? How was your weekend? Tell me about your weekend. Not only this question, I mean as an example. So every Sunday, have a speaking task with your students, give them a chance to speak, and it will look like a routine, something you do every Sunday. So every Sunday, we will talk about last weekend, we'll talk about the weather, we will talk about shopping, we will talk about your family, your friend, your school, whatever the topic. So after talking about this topic, you will move to another topic. But the students have an idea in their mind that every Sunday we will have a speaking task. We will start the day with this speaking task, okay? And give them social situations. So you will work in pairs. One of you will be the shop assistant and the other will be the customer. And you, one of you wants to buy a t-shirt, or one of you in the train station wants to buy a ticket. One of you in the street and ask for directions. So give them social situation and try to prepare them, give them time to prepare and come to do that in front of the classroom. And make it related to social situation because it will be relevant. When I ask them, imagine that you are a doctor and your friend is a patient and have a conversation about headache, for example. So try to make it relevant enough for students to speak. They will encourage them. So these are some suggestions to get your students involved more in speaking tasks because they are motivated and they are not shy. Okay. Okay. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. This is all about my learners. What about the teacher? Okay. How can English teacher promote active speaking practice? Okay. Number one, provide ample opportunities for speaking. Ample means many or large, a lot of opportunities. So it's not a good idea to skip the speaking activity in the lessons because I don't have time. I have to finish the lesson. So it's okay to skip it. I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow I'll do it tomorrow. So don't skip or don't delay the speaking activities. It's very useful, of course. Introduce relevant topic. As I said, keep it, personalize it. So ask your students, what do you like to speak about? Give them maybe 2 options. Which one do you want to speak about? Okay. And use a mixture of controlled and free practice. Try to move from controlled to free practice. For example, I begin with controlled activity. So I'll give you, for example, a picture, and I ask my students to answer these questions. So I'll give them 5 questions. So look at the picture and try to answer these questions. This is controlled. If I want to make it free, I'll give them just the picture and look at the picture. Try to prepare yourself to speak about this picture. You have 3 minutes, for example, to speak about this picture. Here, I don't give them vocabulary questions or helpful language. Just give them the task without any thing helpful. I don't give them the vocab or the grammar or the structure. So this is free activity. But when I give the learners some helpful vocab or structures or questions or hints, so it's controlled. So try to mix between the controlled. Of course, you will move from controlled to free. Don't give them the free practice first, okay? Create a community of learners where all learners communicate. So now I think most of us have WhatsApp group with your learners. I think it's a good idea to give them something to speak about and they can record. And I think, Teresa, you did something before about something like that. Give them a chance to record and send the record to you on the WhatsApp group. I mean, we can practice speaking not only in the classroom, it can be outside the classroom. And they will send you the video or the record in on the WhatsApp group or the Messenger or whatever, okay? Because I think most of us have this kind of connection. What do you think?
Not more of us.
Asma, not?
Or not all of the students.
Yeah, of course, not all of the students, yes. Okay, so we can try with the students I have a connection with, and in the classroom itself, try to